Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Vobes show. I'm Richard Vobes, and it's the 12th of May, 2020. It's very nice to have you with us today, he says, subtly, without anybody noticing, placing his keyboard out of the way. It's nice to do that without anybody aware. Anyway, here we are, another show. We've got some more wonderful videos all lined up. We have the Vobosphere filling up with interesting people. We have a phone call. Hopefully, the transatlantic, well, it's not transatlantic, but trans-Europe, trans-Mediterranean, I guess, well, it depends where the cabling goes. I'll just keep it to that. We have a phone call to Spain coming up in today's show. With any luck. But in the meantime, let's say hello to a few people who are coming in to see us this evening. We have Andrew Norris, the lovely Julia. We have Mike Stevens, Ed Loud. We have Days of Yore. We have Ed Ovett. Ed Loud, I said, who's, again, singing the tune. Josephine Souter, who says hello. Ron Langley, good evening to you. Graham Roffey, evening. I work very close to Chevering House that you were reading about. Oh, right. There we are. You must know all the history. Well, if you don't, you do now, if you were listening to it. I was struggling. I'm assuming chevening is like evening, but chevening. Is that right? Or have I still not got it? Tracy Murphy, Kevin's Rambles, Barry Stevens, J.W. Harville. We have Mark Donny McLeod, Roy Ballinger. We have Rivers, Reed, Roblox, and Alex Braid. Hello to all of you. It's very nice of you to drop by this evening and pop in and see the old Voby One-Eyed Kenobi. Is Turbo... Did I read Turbo Stream there? I'm not sure if I did yet. I have some messages, you see. Well, not some. I've got a message. I've got a message for young... Adrian, if he happens to be out there. It was an ideal day for making I'm not quite sure what that is because it's a very small little symbol. But presumably, are you saying a video? I did make a video today, funnily enough. Do you know, I did actually do a video, but it wasn't outside. I know, it wasn't outside. I bet it's going to rain tomorrow. I bet it'll be an absolute disaster tomorrow. Rick Gordon, greetings from Cambridgeshire. Everyone, good evening to you. Yes, I did. I am making a small adjustment to the Bald Explorer video. It's an experiment, really. If it goes down well, we'll carry on doing it for a while. If it's rubbish, I'll go back to my ad hoc system. Which has proved reasonable so far, but there's where shall I go tomorrow? Where shall I go tomorrow? Oh my God, what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do tomorrow? This is like sort of panic as I finish this show, do the thumbnail for the Bald Explorers video tomorrow, which is all edited and uploaded, but it just needs the thumbnail and the description and all of the usual stuff that you have to do. And then as I'm thinking, time for bed, where the hell am I going to go tomorrow? You know, you think that all of this is planned. It's very... For about 2.5 years, it's where am I going tomorrow? What am I going to do tomorrow? Where am I going tomorrow? It's why change a winning formula? Because I don't want to keep going. Where am I going tomorrow? What am I doing tomorrow? It's been a nightmare, I tell you. It hasn't been a nightmare. That's true. It's wrong. But what the video will be out tomorrow. But I'm proposing something to make my where am I going tomorrow a little bit more. Clearer. And the only reason I'm doing this is because when I got more information about what the Prime Minister meant, not that he's, that makes it sound like he had a word with my ear. Oh, Boris, sorry. What did you say? Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Oh, okay. No, thanks, Bor. Thanks, Bor. What's short for Boris? Thanks, Riss. Bor. I know you don't like you. Yeah, I know. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Once I heard on yesterday, that you couldn't camp. You're not supposed to camp, and obviously Airbnbs are not going to be opening, and all of that in this new slight freedom that we've got. And if you have to go to work, you go to work. I thought, in that case, I can't go to Norfolk or Northumberland or Cambridge or wherever, on a jaunt. I've still got to return and come back. So I thought, right, okay, if that is the case, then let me put some structure to it and see if that helps. If it doesn't help, I'll go back to the who knows where I'm going to be tomorrow routine, least of all me. What an absolute shire, says Mark Donny McLeod. Hello to you. Have we seen Turbo Stream yet? Glastonbury Gabriel, hello to you. Nice to see you. Mystic Hair, good to see you too. Ernie, how's it going, Ernie? Tally ho, Richard. Looking forward to tonight's show. Marvellous, very pleased. Linda Kane, find a spare half hour, sit down, make a short list of places to walk, saves thinking about it every night. Well, it's not quite like that, really. You can make a list of things, and then sometimes there's reasons why you can't go. It's like people around, parking, you can't park there. The sun's in the wrong place. You can't be asked to drive that way. It'd be easier if I just nipped out there because I've got to go to Morrison's first. There's 100 reasons. Sorry, my eye has got some pug in it. I'll just wipe that on my trousers. Shush, don't let anybody know. It's very unprofessional. Wipe the pug from the arthritic eye. It's not arthritic, it's artificial. Morton Lewis, hi Richard. Simon from Spain. We're going to talk he says, I can't seem to connect to my WhatsApp to Vobes Show mobile number. Oh, would you like to try and connect to me from your end? I would need to know what your number is. I suppose you could send me your number by email and I can dial it. How about that? Shall I try that? I'll try that. We're hoping to talk to Simon, who has been, as you know, right from the start, in severe lockdown. He was put into a tiny cupboard in a Spanish vault high up on a hill in Madrid. And I think he's been allowed a view out of the bars, from between the bars. Very nice Spaniards have been throwing carafes of wine. Is a carafe a Spanish thing or is that a French thing? I think it's a French thing. Yeah, so I'll wait till you get your email over. I'll open my email account and see if I can do that. A variety to cover every eventuality. I think you'll be happy, Linda. I think you'll be happy. Anyway, I've made a video about all of that. I don't want to say it now because that'll ruin the surprise for tomorrow. Spent the day doing it. Well, not the day. I had other things to do. I spoke to a very nice gentleman called Gordon today with reference to something else, but I won't spoil that either. Anyway, we've got lots of nice videos. Is Turbo... Have I seen... Is Turbo... I've got this message for Turbo Stream, and I want to deliver it before I forget. Oh, there he is. I'm here. Oh, yes. Marvellous. Thank you, Adrian. So there's a chap called Chris got in touch with me, and he said, here, Vobes, tell that bloke in Birmingham that Moore Street Station is well worth a visit. Apparently 10 miles from the centre of the town of Birmingham. Unlike the very clean and sterile town centre, it's more like straight out of the 1930s. I obviously don't know what he's talking about, but that's what I've got. Chris suggests Moore Street Station, 1930s. Let Adrian know. So I feel so much better. That's been a weight on my mind all day. I've been like this, weighed down by the thought of delivering this message. Imagine what it's like at Christmas for me. Oh, I've got a Christmas card to deliver. Oh, God, I've got to get it there. The worry and the frustration and the nerves, And when they say, that's nice, did you get a present? What? A present as well? Oh, no, it's bad enough trying to remember to get a Christmas card out. Mr. Connell says, hi, Richard. The word at work is United Distilleries. Southern Water are seconding some of us again. Oh, what does seconding mean? Can somebody just quickly tell me what does seconding mean? Don't make me look like an idiot. No, that doesn't mean don't make me look at an idiot. So you're seconding United Distilleries. That sounds good. Jeff Kellison says, I vote for Worthing at War walks. Well, okay. And Gabriel, you need to take me shopping. Yes, I do want to do some wartime stuff. That's true. But anyway, thank you for that. I can't see. I read that. Find it. Yeah, read that. Okay. And council buffs in Iowa I am out of hours available to drive. Can't leave till tomorrow. Oh, see. Out of hours. How many hours a day are you allowed to drive, Jeff? Turbo Stream, yes, I'm here. Yes, I need to do a vid on that. It's lovely to look at. Thanks, Chris. There we go. We will get that done. See, it's amazing. The amount, the communication, the communicado through this system is, well, it's just like having a second national broadcaster, isn't it? Public service. Mike Stevens says, yes, Moore Street is like going back in time. Well, I look forward to the video. Nigel Sadler says, I recently discovered that Worthing once had a harbour around the 1300, or around 1 o'clock. Oh, no, around the 1300. It was up near Vobes's, between the station and Teville Gate. Oh, do you know, in the middle of the night, I sometimes hear this ghostly... the foghorns of the QE1, or the Titanic, I think it might be. However the foghorns go. Anyway, I lied about that. I never hear them. I never hear them. Morris says, hi, Richard. I've sent the email to your... Right, brilliant. Okay, being temporarily moved to another job. Oh, seconded. Oh, right, so United Distillery. Oh, that's where you're going. I've been seconded to another job. We got to drink all this Johnny Walker by the end of... What? Oh, we're not supposed to drink it. Oh, I'm sorry. We and the boys... wake up, for God's sake. We and the boy... We didn't know we weren't supposed to drink it. And on a more sensible note... why not? Why not? Fiona Philip Hammond says... Thanks, Jeff. Marvellous. Julia says, I've heard about that, Nigel. No idea on the details. Oh, right. About the 1300 harbour. Yes, at 1 o'clock, at 1300 hours, they roll back Teville Gate, and every now and again, the boat comes in. Turbo Stream says, we'll try this weekend if the allows me to cycle in. Oh, that would be good. Josephine says, secondment, the process of state of being seconded, the temporary transfer of a person from the normal duty to another assignment. Somebody said about me, I think it was Jeff Kellison, said that I was an educated fella. Clearly not. Clearly not. You should be on the stage, Richard, says Mike Stevens. Oh, yeah? Yeah, there's one going in 10 minutes. Da-dum-bum. Hey, everyone a gem. United Distilleries. Water. Oh, utilities. Oh, utilities. I once did a job for United Distilleries. That's why I misread it. I think they're in Hammersmith. Well, they were when I worked there. They had an office in Hammersmith. They booked a mime artist at the Christmas party. Somebody thought it would be a good idea on a Christmas party for United Distilleries, who had all these different gins and whiskies and, you know, all of the high spirits and stuff. And their staff were between, let's say, 18 and 25. And very young. All they wanted to do was get drunk. All they wanted to do was get off with one another. And somebody, somewhere, had thought a white-faced mime artist prancing around, doing the wall, all this sort of stuff, you know, that I do, all of that, pushing on invisible things, being pulled by invisible dogs or elephants or whatever, walking on the spot, all this sort of stuff. I thought it would be great. And I can tell you it's the worst job I have ever done. I hated doing white-face mime because I thought white-face mime was incredibly passé and not what mime, I trained in mime, was about. But that's the least of my issues. I mean, I used to do that. But for youngsters who wanted to get drunk, to have a poncy bloke dressed in a beret, a stripy white shirt. This is because every time they say, we'd like to book you as a mime artist, Richard. You go, oh, okay, strictly white face, and you go, oh, really? Because I could do my walking around the suitcase, I could do various sort of little gags, but not in the white face, white gloves, all very twee. It was the worst job. United Distilleries. So when you said United Distilleries, I immediately thought of that. But you didn't say United Distilleries. You said United Utilities. And what a fool I now feel. Mark G says, hello, I've been to Moore Street quite a few times. Marvellous. Good stuff. And presumably it's very nice, is it? Linda Cadman says, Richard, there is a book you may be interested in, Pevensey and Westerham in the War. You can order from from Pevensey Museum and the Courthouse, £6.95. If you want one, PM me. Thank you very much. I don't really know. Yes, but £6.95. That's awfully expensive for a book, isn't it? I usually get them second hand, you see. I get them second hand. Nigel Sagler says, I'm working from some maps and plans for a short video. It's based on a book, Worthing, From Saxon Settlement to Seaside Town. Oh, it sounds very posh. Sounds very educated. Remember to include picture of the map so we can pinpoint where we are and where this harbour is. Mark on it where my house is, and I will see if the QE2, not the QE, whatever the Titanic was called, I'll see if it floats in. I'd like to work for United Distilleries, says Andrew Norris. No, you wouldn't. You really wouldn't. Right, we're going to show a video. Whilst we're showing a video, first video of the day, we've got 6 of them to get through, so no mucking about. But then I'm going to try and get in touch with Simon in Spain. So let's do that. Let's go into the video box, make sure it's all working. And we're going to start off, we're going to go up to the Pendle Hills, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Donny McLeod has sent in a lovely video with some amazing views. Not only has he gone on a cycle ride to do this, but he's also clambered up a very high hill, which is remarkable. And all I would say is look out for the... He doesn't really mention these in the video, but look out on the left towards the end, and every now and you get it. This amazing ribbon of black tiled, well, they look like black tiled and black houses that seem to just go on forever in parallel lines. So maybe Mark can tell us a little bit about those. But let's go and have a look at his video, and I'll go and quickly sneak behind the scenes and give Simon a quick tinkle.
Good morning, Bobbinets. Have a look at this. Check this out. Up the top there is Halifax Road. And over there, down in that valley there, there's Nelson and Briarfield. And up there on the top there, that there is your Pendle Hill. Isn't that beautiful? Over there, towards Blacko, where I started out this morning. Isn't that lovely? And over within 20 minutes cycle ride and a 10-minute walk up the hill. And now I'll go back down. I'm going to go and give myself a brew in a minute. Look at that, Pendle Hill. And say if there's a cloud over Pendle Hill, it's raining, and if there's not, it soon will be, or probably is raining already. So that's
No, you've caught me. You've caught me tapping away. I'm still trying to work this out. Hang on, ladies and gentlemen. Wasn't that exciting? Thank you very much, Mark, for doing that and clambering up. Lovely to see the Pendle Hill. Absolutely lovely. Beautiful scenery, and it's almost, I mean, even though we build all these modern things, from where you are, there still seems to be, from that hill, still seems to be lots of countryside all around, which is superb. Isn't that amazing? Right, thank you very much. And yeah, I'd be interested in those strange those houses that were on the right that were tailing away. Now, does anybody know how WhatsApp works? I've got a phone call which is to Spain. Do I need to put in the international code? Do I put the whole thing? Presumably, I don't know how this will find Simon, but let me just double check I've shoved the number in. Yeah. Yeah. Do. Right, I've got to save that. Let's see what happens if I try to call.
We're putting you through to our pay-as-you-go top-up service. This call is free. Get up to 10% back on all your top-ups with O2 rewards. Text.
No, I'm not ringing you from my phone, you fool. I'm trying to ring you from... Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Let's Cock It Up whilst we're dialing a number. It's a new channel in which I am here trying to make a phone call. You need to download WhatsApp yourself. I've got WhatsApp on here. I have phoned myself with my own phone, which has got WhatsApp on, to the one in the studio, which has got WhatsApp on. Put him in your phone's contact, then call from WhatsApp. Well, that's kind of what I did. Thought I was dialing from WhatsApp. Right, let's try again. Calls. Okay. Let me see if I can find you. Just going down, because it seems to have put everybody in my calls now. Right. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Simon.
Hello.
It works. It bloody works.
Thank God. Yeah.
Oh, so here
it bloody works, and it's free.
And it's free.
And it's free as well.
Oh, that's even better.
Yes.
I was slightly concerned when it said, we're putting you up to your top-up there. I thought, oh, really? So, I'm speaking to Spain, ladies and gentlemen. At long last, we've got through to Simon, otherwise known as Lewis 100. Is that right? Morton?
That's right, yeah. I'm 100, but I look younger.
Well, I'm sure it's the Spanish sun that does that.
There's not much sun tonight, Richard. It's pissing down with rain. I'm looking out my window now, and normally at this time of year the temperature should be in the 30s, but it's cold. It's dark, and recently hasn't been getting dark till 9:30, 9:45, but it's absolutely, tipping it down. So it's sort of quite horrible,
Oh, right. Gosh.
What's the weather like by you?
By me, we've had some sunshine today. We've had a little bit of wind, not as much wind as we had yesterday. It's a bit cooler than it has been of late. Apparently I don't know whether it's Icelandic winds or something's in the stream cooling it down, but it wasn't too bad today. If you were active and not tired or anything, when the sun is on and you're a bit tired, it just wipes out all your energy. In the 30s, that would be quite severe, I should think, especially this time of year.
Yeah, normally it ramps up to the sort of 30s in May, and then June, July, August, you could be anything between 40 and 50. If you haven't got air conditioning in your flat, it can easily get up to 50, and the buildings here retain the heat, so it can easily be in the 50s in your house if you haven't got air conditioning. So you really need to sort of love the hot weather,
Yeah, definitely.
But the whole thing of Spanish people having a siesta, it's not a thing of folklore. It actually is like a necessary thing. It's just too hot to do anything between 2 and sort of 7 at night. So everything just sort of shuts down really in July and August at 2 in the afternoon. The shops shut.
Wow.
People just go to bed.
What's the flight time between, say, Heathrow and where you are, Madrid?
It's not Heathrow. It's the other one. It's Gatwick.
Oh, Gatwick.
It can be anything between 1 hour and 45 minutes and a couple of hours.
Gosh,
It's
so
pretty speedy.
I was just thinking that within
Yeah.
that distance, going south, there is such a dramatic change then in the weather, going up to the 40s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely. When you go over to France, you're obviously in a different culture and so on. When you're Calais or Paris, but the climate is fundamentally the same as London or wherever, Worthing. But here, yeah, I mean, it really is an incredibly different scenario, and culturally as well, incredibly different mentality and so on. But in Madrid, although it's in the center of Spain, it really is sort of deep Spanish culture. It's not like people see when they go down to Alicante or Tenerife, and you're basically just going to Blackpool, but in the Mediterranean with British bars. Madrid really is sort of like a kind of a deep Spanish culture. There are Irish pubs, but that's the extent of it. And you've got McDonald's and Starbucks like everywhere else. But this is really deep Spain. The culture is very traditional here. So yeah, I mean, considering you're only flying 2 hours out of London. When it really is a different culture. But I think a lot of people don't know Madrid. When they think of Spain, they think of the southern, the southern seaside towns, and so on. But Madrid really is a fantastic place.
I have in. I mean,
it's really nice.
I have in my mind. I suppose Spain. I mean, as a kid, I did go to Alicante and Barcelona when my father took me there when I was about 10. I don't really remember it, but there's photos. But when I think of Spain and places like Madrid, I'm getting, I suppose, either this from old films or from Winston Graham's book. I can't remember the name of the sodding thing now, but he has an adventure where they're following the gold of. The guy went to America in the Spanish explorer bloke, Francis Drake. Was it Francis Drake?
Yeah,
and anyway, and
Drake. Yeah.
This very stone buildings, narrow passages, maze of little alleys, quite tall, and garments being hung out the windows to dry, and lots of busy stuff. Is it a bit like that?
Oh, defo, yeah. There's
defo.
Much more of the
defo.
historic.
That's real Spanish, isn't it? Defo.
I think that's a Manchester thing, because I've lived in a lot of places. I was born in Solihull, just south of Brum. So I spent the first 19 years of my life in Birmingham, then most of my adult life in Manchester. I've lived in different places. My wife came from Newcastle upon Tyne. I think Defoe's Manchester. Yeah, I mean, it is like you say. The streets are narrow and high. People do hang the washing out from the windows and across the street. Much more of the historic core of the Spanish cities has been preserved than in England. I mean. What I noticed from you, a recurrent theme in your videos is, this nostalgia for a kind of England that has perhaps disappeared or is disappearing. But in Spain, there's a hell of a lot more left of the cities, because they didn't really have an industrial revolution. The industrial revolution destroyed Birmingham. It destroyed the historic core of Manchester. Leeds less so. But here, you've got. I'm actually living in a 17th century building, and most of the houses on my street are 16th and 17th century buildings. They've obviously been modified a bit, to make them habitable to to modern people. But the street plan of Madrid is more or less the same as it was when Philip II founded it in 1562, so the streets that you see on the original 1562 street plan are still here now, whereas if you go around London, you've really got to sort of search out the medieval core, it is exactly as you imagine it, sort of narrow and tall, and sort of shady. Obviously, they built the streets narrowly to protect from the sun,
Right. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, of course. I'm just trying to put up on the screen Google Maps just to get a sense of some of Spain. I don't know whether they do a street view. Do they do street view on Google Maps of Spain?
Oh yeah, you'll get a street view of Madrid. Yes, certainly. Yeah, definitely.
I just thought whilst we're see if it'll the internet will work. I don't know where I've landed myself. Somewhere in the centre, just to get a vague idea.
Well, the dead centre of Spain, of Madrid, would be Plaza Mayor. Or Sol, Puerta del Sol, and that is dead center. That's what we call the kilometre zero, that's where they measure all the distances to the rest of the Kingdom of Spain. So if you find on the Google map, on the Google thing, the street map, if you find Sol, SOL, it's the the center,
I've got Centro, I've got Retrio. I'm just having a look here, but I want to see the sort of ancient. I want to see a typical ancient street.
Right. Well, if you want a sort of a typical ancient street, Plaza Mayor, which would mean main, for us, that would be main square. Plaza means place, Mayor means main or important, and that's actually for about 40 seconds from where I'm standing now. Another time, once I sort of get into doing videos and things, I'll send you some stuff back. But if you type in PLAZA, Plaza, and then Mayor, MAYOR, you'll find it, and that will be your kind of ancient, that is 17th century. And they used to have the festivals in there. At the moment, it's deserted because of the corona crisis, of course, but it's normally very full of people. And they used to burn the victims of the Inquisition there as well as a public spectacle, But that would be your kind of typical thing. Have you managed to find it?
I have. I'm standing in the middle of the square. It's a massive, great big square with amazing architecture there.
Yeah. It's 16th century foundations, and then it was regigged in the 17th century, and then obviously there's sort of a Victorian, what we would call Victorian. It was Queen Isabel for the Spanish. There's 19th century additions, and that is literally, if I walk out of my door, that's about 40 seconds walk away from my house, and I very often just walk through there, just on my way to somewhere, or so it's an amazing place. It's very eerie now. It's completely deserted, because normally that will be a gathering place for thousands and thousands of people, on any given night, but that is more or less completely deserted. So it's quite eerie for us. Madrid, because of the climate and because of the Spanish culture, it's live on the streets. It's not like we have in England where the weather can be touchy, even in the summer. but also we don't really have a culture of eating out, in terraces. But the Spanish, and particularly the Madrileños, live on the street, so it's not unusual in normal times for to see people around, walking around at 2 in the morning, particularly on the summer nights, because that is when it would be cool.
Yeah. So
it's
this
cool in terms of.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to say. So this would explain why Madrid initially had such a huge outbreak, because people are living on the street and the proximity is going to be very close, and so it would spread incredibly fast.
That's one line of argument. Yeah, I mean, you've got a capital city. People live on the streets. The Spanish are very tactile, far much more than Anglo-Saxon people. Even if you only met somebody for the first time, you'll get a hug, a kiss. They're great kissers, and sort of huggers and back slappers and so on, far more than we are. We're not terribly tactile, so because they're very tactile, and they Spanish people like doing things in groups, big family gatherings, big gatherings of friends. So yeah, that is possibly one reason, for the rapid transmission.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm just been wandering around just very briefly, and of course this is not giving me a real idea, but one thing that seems to strike me is you've got lots of white painted buildings, I guess to reflect the light, and pastel colours of just seeing. So it gives the impression of being very clean, unlike London, which has a lot darker buildings, which obviously gives the impression, especially if the weather is on the same case, as being dark and a little dismal at times.
Yeah, Madrid is a very, very clean city. You have the streets are washed down every night, because although it's raining now, this is extremely unusual for this time of year. Normally by now the hot weather is sort of cranking up, and then it doesn't rain. It won't rain again. I mean, once we've got this out of the way, which I think that the rain and misery will go in the next 2 or 3 days. But once we've got this away and you're into June, July, August, apart from an occasional thunderstorm, you won't get any rain then until October, November. So that, you can go 4 or 5 months without a day of rain, So what the municipality does, they wash the streets. The streets are hosed down every night, So it is a tremendously clean place in terms of the collection of litter and so on. We do have graffiti. Sort of one of the ways young people rebel is less, whereas in England it's kind of get a night in Blackpool might be getting rat-arsed and knocking somebody over the head with a bottle or something. But here that's very unusual. You don't get the level of crime against the person, but the kids do rebel by graffiti. So we get graffiti, but it is generally a clean. A very clean city, It's really nice place.
So tell us about the situation that you've had then in complete and utter lockdown, which from our point of view does sound absolutely horrendous, and especially if the temperatures are high and the buildings are warm, cooking in an oven.
Yeah, well, I mean, the complete lockdown occurred. You've got to bear in mind the complete lockdown occurred because the virus hit us and peaked with us before before you, so we sort of experienced it before. I think it was on about mid-March, the lockdown started. It was pretty frightening. It came as a complete surprise. International Women's Day was on March the 8th, and it's a huge thing here. I mean, it's probably big in England, I can't remember, but it's huge here. And there was a huge demonstration march, and there were tens of thousands of people on the street, and nobody was taking the coronavirus terribly seriously. Even the government were, they were saying, don't worry, and no one seemed, it was something that was happening in China, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, it was just, oh, by the way, Monday, you locked down. And I don't think anybody could really believe it. And the conditions were so stringent, you couldn't move more than 250 meters from your own front door.
Blimey.
It's incumbent anyway in Europe. You have to carry identification. Of course, in England, we only had to 1940 to 45, but because of the tradition of liberty and, so on, the Anglo-Saxon freedom, we've always rejected carrying ID cards. But here in Europe, you have to anyway. But certainly at this time, you could be stopped at any point and asked for identification, as I have been. And it was pretty freaky. There are three police forces here. You have the Guardia Civil, or a kind of legacy of the Franco times. They're somewhere between the military and the police. Then you've got the national police, the Policia Nacional, and then the municipal police. But then you've got plain clothes cops. So I went out to get a loaf of bread, and next minute you stop by these four characters. You're having to produce identification, explain why I've gone to the corner shop to get a loaf of fucking bread. It was quite freaky. And you were technically only allowed out one visit a day to purchase food from your nearest supermarket, or to buy medicine from the chemists, or perhaps to go to the cash till. But there was a very strict thing, and certainly here in the centre, it was pretty heavy. I got stopped by really heavy interrogation about 5 times by each of the different police forces, and they certainly weren't friendly.
Do they carry guns? Do they carry guns in Spain?
Yeah. All of the, even the security firms carry guns. The private security firms that you might find in, so it can be pretty heavy sometimes if you're stopped. Yeah. And I did get a gun pointed at me because the cops were very jittery, because nobody knew what was happening. The death rate was running into tens of thousands. People thought the health system was going to collapse, or so of course everybody was a bit paranoid, but it really was bad. Wow. And they didn't take you, so hence my delay in sending videos, because it was difficult enough getting out to to go and buy a loaf of sliced bread, let alone taking any pictures. So it was pretty heavy, but they've relaxed in the last 10 days. They've relaxed. We're in what's called phase 0 of recovery now. So we're not even in phase 1. We're in phase 0.
Is that's the first phase that you've come into?
Yeah, that's right. So that is basically sort of, it's slightly more relaxed. So they've graded it according to sort of different age groups and different risk categories. So parents with young children can take their kids out between, I think it is something like between 12 and 2. People who are between in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, up to 60 can go out between 6 in the morning and 10, and then between 8 at night and 11. I mean, obviously, then you know they're not going to go berserk if you have to go to the supermarket.
But
you know,
so you've got a basic timetable for different vulnerabilities or age groups of people.
Yes.
And how long do you get out? How long do you get out?
You are only allowed out for an hour, but obviously you given now that whereas previously there might only be 3 people on the street, and if the cops are around and you're one of the 3, you've got a 1 in 3 likelihood of being stopped. Now there are obviously thousands of people on the street, so they can't stop everybody. So I mean, as shouldn't I go out for a couple of hours, but I'm not endangering anybody.
No, of course.
I sort of I'm on my own. But so they have sort of graded it, but you are supposed to be tucked up and indoors by 11, you know. And not me personally, but a close friend of mine was coming back from seeing a lady at 2 in the morning, and he got stopped by these sort of paramilitary cops, and they were giving him a going over for about 45 minutes, you know. Not a good hiding, but you know, a sort of a implicit threat of, you know. So it was pretty heavy, but it's a lot more bearable now because you can go out, you know, and get a bit of freedom, you know, and so on. But yeah, I mean, it was bloody grim because the casualty level was incredibly high, and people were expecting the health service to crash, and you know, nobody really knew what was happening. And the army were on the streets. There's a sort of, I think they're called the EMT, the emergency military something. They wear a yellow beret, and in the initial days, the army were on the streets, which was quite worrying as well.
The army were on the streets.
When soldiers, yeah. In the initial days of the lockdown, the army were posted, but then they, you know, the populace here has generally complied very well, far more so than I think in England. You know, from what I see on the news. And you know, from what you guys tell me, I mean,
from what you've said, Simon, it certainly makes us seem like, you know, we've just got it so lax. Please don't tell the government that, for God's sake. And yet, because people will only say, but don't forget, then the Brits, you're the second to top amount of deaths and stuff. Let's not get into any of that and keep it fairly light at the moment. But gosh, I mean, you know, obviously different countries have their own different ways, and I suppose we here in Britain would find that incredibly difficult to swallow, what you've described, if that happened. And I think people would be up in arms because it would be so different.
Definitely. I think the Mediterranean temperament, I know this is a gross stereotype, and every stereotype can be disproven by a counterexample, but the Spanish temperament is very exuberant, but they are generally quite easygoing and much more than Anglo-Saxon or Northern European people, I think. And I think people complied quite well, whereas, like you say, in England, people have either tended to ignore it, argue with it, doubt it. You know, I can imagine in some of the inner cities, certainly where I lived in Manchester, I would imagine that you know, people wouldn't tolerate being pushed around for 5 minutes.
I think we don't trust a lot of people. I mean, that's the trouble. I think, I mean, especially at the moment, I don't think the English culture is that we don't trust what the mainstream media will say to us, because a lot of the times it's been proven so many times, time after time, that what they've said is a spin on the truth. It may be for our own good, or it may not, or it may be for political gain or whatever. And we've had so many in recent times things where anything bureaucratic has been so much of a headache that I think that we just do rebel against being pushed about. Plus the fact we're all armchair theorists and think that we've got the idea, and we've all conjured up our own conspiracy theories, generally. Sweeping statement, I know.
Definitely. I think what sort of did it with me was this idea, when I saw the thing about the drone over the lake in Derbyshire or wherever it was, I mean, to be fair, like the death rate was so high here, that I think people could see a reason for complying with the, with the cops and so on. And I do have to say that about well, I've actually taught them English in the past, the various police forces and the Spanish military, when I'm wearing my teacher's hat. Their bark is worse than their bite, But I think what it was in England was this sort of sneaky thing, of sending a drone over a bloody lake in Derbyshire,
yes,
when nobody's doing, or on the seafront in Worthing, where you're not possibly going to infect man or beast.
Yes, it's the absurdity. I mean, it was. Think with England, It was an absurd action that the police did, and so quite rightly, I think people did ridicule them for it, because what were they going to do?
Yes. But anyway, like I say, thank God it's a little bit more liberal now,
yes,
But
yes.
It was quite bad,
Listen, Simon, I'm going to move on for now. But now that we've got this connection, it would be great to talk to you again. Is there any chance, now that you've got the possibility of going out a bit more discreet, of taking some video with your phone of just some interesting places, and just a quiet little walk round, and sending them in that we can play in on the show?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. It was just I simply didn't want to.
No, there was no pressure.
I could have got busted. I could have got busted and €300 bloody fine.
I don't want to be responsible for a viewer lying prostrate on the ground, being kicked in by the Spanish police. Certainly not. But if now it's calmed down a bit and you're able to, again, only if you feel confident and safe to take a couple of minutes and just send them in via WeTransfer to the usual address, it would be great.
Yeah,
it would be great.
Yes.
And of course, we'll talk again.
Definitely, yeah. Yes, I'll do a video of Plaza Mayor. Last night I was walking down by the river, the Manzanares, and it was where the great Spanish artist Goya had his house, and so the place is just it's just a treasure house of about 500 years of Spanish history. So I'll definitely I'll do some sort of historically inclined
fantastic
bits, and
that's very kind.
Brilliant.
All right.
Great.
Okay. Simon, thanks so much. And it's so great that we can now do the call. Worked out how to do it. So
well, I don't want to make British Telecom any richer.
No.
It's Telefonica, so it's sort of, because but yes, fantastic.
Great.
Lovely.
All
lovely.
right. Take care, Simon. We'll talk again.
And yourself, yes. Yes, great pleasure, Richard. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There we go. That was a bit longer than normal phone calls, but it's certainly well worth listening to, and fantastic for Simon to tell us all that information about how Spain is. And it's so interesting being able to compare the different countries in this current situation, this weird world that we are in. So thank you very much for that, Simon. We will go back to the videos because I do want to get through them because, you know, A, you make them, and B, I don't want there to be a backlog for tomorrow's show. So brilliant. Thank you very much for all the comments and all the rest of it. Let's go into the video box and see what we've got next.
Good morning, Bob and
Oh, and in the video box, we had a bit more of Mark Donny McLeod. Mark Donny says he's thinking of making another one for tomorrow, which would be superb, weather permitting. Right, now, do you remember Wendy Lowry? She's taken us around a number of interesting places, looked at some wonderful nature and things like that. Well, she's got a husband, you know. We may have seen him very, very briefly in one video. Not so tonight. He is the star of the show. And he has an interesting collection, which I, for one, am very fascinated in.
Hello Richard everyone. Yeah, a hobby I've had for some time is collecting old books. So here's a few of them. Starting up here, we've got a 1950s adventure book for boys. And then go on, there's a lot of old Billy Bunter books here, which I really like. A few books on limericks, Enid Blyton books, London bosses, and one or two other things. Come down here, we've got Sherlock Holmes, Wind in the Willows, and then there's some of these books are just 1930s, 40s novels, but a lot of these are about 1920s, 30s boarding schools, public boarding schools, and I really like reading them, although of course I never went to a boarding school myself. And that is these. Here we've got a 1884 Pilgrim's Progress, which has got coloured plates in. And here's Play Up Blues by Herbert Haynes, who also wrote a few books about public boarding schools in the 1920s. They're a bit hard going, but at the same time they're good, interesting books once you get into them. There's a couple of Tom Merry books here by Frank Richards, the same as Billy Bunter. A few Jennings books, and then William books by Richmond Crompton, which I think I really like them. Coming down here, we've got a 1950 Dick Barton annual, Dick Barton Special Agent, you know, I really do like those, you know, really good. And then that one there is also Dick Barton, but that was done, the Dick Barton annual, at the same time as when it was put on the television in the late 70s. Here is a few Observer books from 1950s, and of course no collection be complete without Edward Lear's Book of Nonsense, an Eagle annual. And over here, this is 1840s combined punch volumes from the 18th. The book's in a bit falling apart. I haven't had it all. I bought it from a charity shop, but there's loads of old photos in it. Here there's somebody who looks like coronavirus in the 1840s. That's how you looked. But there's loads of other old interesting pictures. Some real good drawings and diagrams in it. And this one here is a book about 1925 book on abbeys from 1925. It shows all sorts. Here there's Maxstowe Priory, which I remember very well from when I was young. I used to cycle all around there many years ago. There's also loads of other abbeys. I think there's, what do we got here? Let's have a look. Loads of them. And that's from 1925. There's some good pictures and lots of interesting writing. They've even put plans of the actual abbey in, with quite a few of them, like here. So that's another. I got that from a charity shop as well. I think I only paid about £2 for that. Really good, interesting book, Abbeys, 1925. And there it is. Anyway, I've got plenty more books, but I'll save them for another video. So thanks for watching. Bye bye everyone.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was so interesting. Some of those books, I do like the old ones. And I was just thinking as I was watching that again, I thought, if ever you were, having to find somewhere to get rid of them at any time, I'm sure I could find space somewhere in my little collection of books. It would be rather wonderful. But, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Love the abbeys at the end. Thank you so much. And it's so nice to see you as well. More please. Fantastic. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Interesting. It just goes to show people, they are interesting. We're all nosy. We all want to see, well, what does other people do then? What's their lives like? It's fascinating. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed that. Superb. I'm going to go straight to another video because before we open up the phone lines for and somebody else to give us a chat. So let's have a look. We have, let's go to have a look and see what Barry and Faden have been up to today.
Hello everybody, today we are at Betchworth Castle near Box Hill in Surrey. We're going to take you around it. Just say hello to Faden.
Hello all.
There's the castle itself. There's not that much here, a lot of it's gone and buried. Unfortunately there's railings around it, but we'll show you what we can. I'll just show you this lovely archway there. The site itself first had an Iron Age fort, they believe, on it, and then work started to be done in the 11th century. An actual manor was put here in around the 1400s and started becoming a lot smaller in the 1600s, and then slowly it started to wither away to what you see it today. This is the back end of the castle. See some of the towers there. Also see that tunnel. I'll just show you this lovely lake down there. You just see Box Hill over there, some cliffs on the side.
I've managed to sneak in, don't tell anybody. I'm just going to do a quick pan around. It's quite nice in here. Just walking back now.
I'd just like to tell you about some legends that exist at Betchworth Castle. There are reports of a deaf dog or a deaf hound, a ghostly dog with orange to black eyes. Anybody who sees it will soon pass. Whether this is true or not, it's just a legend. There's also reports of evil things or sinister things. Nobody really knows what it is. It's not a traditional ghost. It's basically, the legend is the owner, once owner of this building, accidentally, well, he went to kill an intruder with a sword and then realised it was his own son that he had killed, and because of the grief he felt, he spent the whole of eternity wallowing in these buildings in sorrow and regret, which has caused certain types of strange and evil things to happen.
Thank you everybody for watching of us going around Betchworth Castle.
Bye bye for now.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Brilliant stuff. Very good. Love the little what do you call it? Montage. That's the word I'm looking for at the end. Well done, Faden. Very good. Very good. You'll be taking over from your dad next. Interesting to see the castle there, because I did a video there with Mark English. Good old Mark English. Oh, probably a year ago now, or something like that. Maybe even longer, 18 months ago. In those days when you could go places. Do you remember those days? Yeah, and I think, as somebody said, I think it was Andrew Norris who said, didn't I crawl in there? Shh. Might have done. Might not have done. Don't know. Can't say. Keep it a secret. It's... Richard has gone from Jack Jones to Superdry, says Kevin Rambles. Oh, yeah. It's a little bit more discreet. It's shush. Stop having a go at me and my clothes. Dear, oh dear. I don't know. I should go to Marks and Sparks next and buy St. Michael's. Thank you very much. There we are. That was Barry. Let's go back into... How do I get out of this? I go back into the studio and put the phone line up. Should anybody wish to give us a quick call before we go into some more? We've got 3 more videos to play in. Call the Vobes 0793 474 6790 and give us a call if you want to add to the Simon situation or something completely different. If you've got a collection of books or some interesting books that you want to tell me about, or if you've been to a castle and slipped into somewhere where you shouldn't, or you just want to have a natter about any old nonsense, now is the time to do it. Don't wait, because we will go to some videos in a second. Rob Hunt says, love old books. I have the Abbey's book too, published by GWR in 1925. Oh, how lovely, how lucky. I'd love to have a book like that. Interesting. Loved King Lear, says Morton Lewis. Roy Ballinger says it's an interesting video. Kevin, I've just read out. Thank you, Kevin. Turbo Stream, yes, thought so, Wendy. You're now in Stourbridge. Great views of Betchworth. Thanks for that, you two. Well done, Barry and Faden. Mark Donny McLeod says, there's a popular one in many places. I heard it in Devon when camping on Dartmoor one stormy night, and I slept like a pub. Oh, that's the black dog. The black dog comes haunting down. Maybe if you've got a black dog story, you might want to give us a call. It's a beautiful place. It looks extra large. Richard, it looks big. Is it extra large, Richard? What do you mean it looks big and is it extra large? It's nice and comfy. Don't know what you're talking about. Will you accept a collect call? A collect call? I don't know where to go and collect them. Where do I have to collect them? I can't leave the studio, you know. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Mahoney, that is. Haven't spoken to Jeff for a while. I fancy a bit more on spectral dogs. Yes, have we got any more on spectral dogs? If you know anything about a spectral dog, do run out and make a video about spectral dogs. There's got to be... Maybe there's a story about the spectral dog with 3 legs. That strange 3-legged, the tripodic dog that went round, and you could hear him going boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Bit like a heartbeat, really. Anyway, enough of that gay nonsense. Let's go and have a look at another video. So, we've got a number of videos. We've got the Andrew Norris moment in tonight's show. I'm holding that back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm holding that back. The question is, has he had a haircut or not? We will find out in that. Meanwhile, young Gabriel has gone running around, carrying on, following the mill stream. Now, Gabriel, I don't know when you encoded this, whether you meant to or forgot to, or something went wrong at the beginning. Your lovely Gabriel Glastonbury, where you have the video through the words. I don't know where it's gone, but we end up with a little bit of black at the beginning. But don't panic, the video will start. It says, why it will start, it says. Why is it not start? Because I pressed the wrong button. Here we go. It will start.
So I'm moving on now, and I'm crossing the normally busy A39. At the moment it's rather quiet. There is a second small bridge here before the A39 bridge, which carries what used to be the original exit from Roman Way. It now runs over there, and then the main bridge over the A39 is that one down there. So that's 3 bridges in very quick succession there. So as I say, I'm now crossing the A39 and I have now arrived at Northover Mill. Built circa 1517 by Abbot Beer of Glastonbury Abbey, this fulling mill had an annual turnover of £10, of which 10 shillings went to support the poor women in the Abbot's Hospital at the Abbey in Glastonbury. While filming, I was lucky enough to meet the tenant, who very kindly invited me in to inspect the wheel room. These steps discovered in the shed at the back of the mill led to the stream below the wheel room, giving access for wheel maintenance. So that was Northover Mill. I'm now proceeding along in towards Beckery itself along the road, and we can start seeing the industrial buildings of what is now the red brick building to our right, and we can see what is now Bridie's Yard to my left. Here you can clearly see the line of the mill stream as it hugs the red brick building, turning towards the north. This area is known as Beckery Island. Archaeological evidence suggests that this has been an industrial area for Glastonbury since before medieval times. A mill and fish weir on the Brew are mentioned in the Glastonbury Chartulary as already old in 1193. It is also thought that ironworking took place on the site between the 10th and 12th centuries. These 19th century industrial complexes of the Moorland and Bailey companies are therefore situated on an industrial site of some antiquity. Coming up on the right now is what's known locally as the Zigzag Building. Originally known when built in 1934-1935 as the Bauhaus, this is the earliest example of Bauhaus architecture in the UK. The building became derelict in the late 80s, early 90s like the rest of the site, and has now been taken over and is used as a community centre. Designed by Glastonbury architect William Ailes, the building has 23,000 square feet across 3 floors. They manufactured those sheepskin slippers here. All those pieces of glass had to be replaced as well, every single one of them. So we're continuing along now towards Beckery Mill site, which is in the distance at the end of that road. As you can see, the mill stream here is straight as an arrow again.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. Very interesting. I do like mills. And the following a mill stream, I think that's a terrific idea, because, you know, you think there's a stream, there's a mill, that's it. That's the purpose of the stream. And of course, the stream's got to go from A to B. It's got to take the water, it's got to come from somewhere, it's got to go somewhere, and then all along there, it can be used for all sorts of other purposes. So, yeah, what a brilliant idea. And fascinating to see the Zigzag Building as well, all those windows that had to be replaced. Marvellous. As Josephine says, your jacket is a famous trademark. That's true. And I gather that the reason there's no credits is that you were cutting it up. Fair dues, that's fine. I just thought I'd explain why there was a period of black before it started. I think, was it Barry, you said, how did I clamber through the fence? I don't think I actually did clamber through that bit. I think there's a bit next to the wall that you can get up, just further along that path where Faden was running with his stick. I think right at the end, that's where I got up, and somehow, I can't remember how I got in, but I got in. But don't tell anybody I got in. I'm only saying if I had got in, that's, you know, how those shots were. I had a replicant who went in, who looked a bit like me, but it wasn't me. It was just some android thing. Yeah, so there we go. Sean, Wiltshire. Oi, oi, Rich. Nice to see you, Sean. Thank you for coming in. Nice to see you there. Diane Patterson. Wow. That's the, I don't know how you pronounce that. Bauhaus, is it? Bauhaus building is superb. It's not my cup of tea, I have to say. It's too modern for me, even if it is old. It's just not old enough. But I respect the fact that it is a landmark. So well done. Anyway, lovely to see all of that, which is great. and nice to see you all talking about lovely dogs, which is cool. How are we doing? We're 12 minutes past. Okay, so let's go and find out. We've got the Andrew Norris moment coming up, but did you know there's a secret garden? Oh, there is. Mike Dixon has been to the. I just nearly did. I nearly tried to do. I was working on an impression of Mike Dixon. Hello. No, I still can't do it properly. Hello, Mike Dixon. Haven't got that one. Haven't perfect. It's beautiful, isn't it, Richard? Yes, it's beautiful, Mark. Beautiful, Mark. Mike Dixon. Hello, Mike Dixon. Anyway, let's find out about the secret garden. Wave the mist.
Hello, Vobesters. It's Mike Dixon and Bella. We're out for our morning walk, and this morning we're in Hove at the secret garden, which is at the back of Aldrington Church, just off New Church Road, in Hove. And it's a beautiful community garden project, and we're keeping safe. There's nobody actually down here, but just out for our morning stroll, and then we're going to head home. I thought I'd just share it with you. It's a community garden project that was set up around about 10 years ago, and I was actually involved right at the beginning. I'm not part of the project now, but very much at the beginning. This was derelict land, and I was a manager at the time of a local mental health centre, and used to come down here in the morning before going off to work, but often there were beer bottles and syringes and a lot of litter. So I contacted the priest, the vicar, and Anne, who was a manager at the time of Brighton and Hove Food Partnership, as they were looking for vacant land for community gardens. Anyway, we set up a meeting in the vicarage, and it took some time, but several months later they signed a contract and the secret garden was set up. At the time I was working full-time, really couldn't get heavily involved in the project. But it's a lovely ecological community project. You can see the nesting boxes. I think they're bat boxes. And there's loads of community compost areas. And just on the other side of that fencing, trellis fencing, are a load of beehives. And Chris is the beekeeper, and she often sells bottles of honey, which is utterly delicious. Anyway, there's a bug hotel that has been set up, and a willow tunnel, which was excellent, lovely for children to explore, and adults. I've just been through there with Bella on the lead. Do a lot of recycling, a lot of repair down here. I believe it is organic. So and it's just local people helping out and growing vegetables and being very much of a community. My wife Helen and I brought Bella down here at Christmas because they were doing a fundraising, Christmas carols, and there was an appearance by Father Christmas. But we didn't know that what was around the corner with this pandemic. But all the benefits of people tuning into nature are now well documented. And really this has become very much kind of the heart of the community, and people being part of it and included, and doing some gardening and socialising. That's the community compost bin, so people can bring along their food waste, and it can be reused. Anyway, I thought I'd just share it with you this morning as we were down here. Okay, well, we're going to pack up and go home fairly soon. Okay, take care, keep safe, bye.
There we go, Mike Dixon and Bella. My favourite shot was as he was coming back there through there, and Bella just popped her little head up. So sweet. What a lovely place. What a lovely place. And what I really liked was the fact that instead of having to scrabble on the ground like so many sort of allotment places where it's just all on the ground, they built it up. I don't understand why allotment people don't do that, make it a bit easier for themselves. Instead of having it all on the ground, build it, in fact, build it more at bench level so that you can walk round and do that. Maybe it costs a bit to get the bricks in, or maybe you're not allowed to do that, but maybe there's other ways you could do it with wood. You could make some sort of base with some wood and make it that. When I watch good old Richard Suggett, he's always on his bended knees, scrabbling in the earth, and I think, come on, we're sophisticated, we've got brains, we've cultivated our lives a bit, haven't we? Couldn't you just build it up a bit higher? Or dig down, dig out a trench, so that you can walk below the bed, so you can be out here weeding and trimming and all of that. Doesn't that make sense? Or is it just me wanting it to be an easy life? Or maybe getting up there when you've got to dig? I thought they were great. I thought that was really nice. I would have them a bit higher. Higher, dear, higher. But that would be good. Really nice. Thank you very much, Mike. Does come up with some interesting places. It just goes to show, you look out the window and you think, oh, it's just my street. What's round the corner is another street. All looks the same. But actually, it's amazing. You can go down round. I've never been up that alley. What's up that alley? But something peculiar and something interesting. Raised garden makes sense. There we are. I'm glad somebody was agreeing with you. Yeah, absolutely. That's how I would do it. Certainly I've taken inspiration from there and just think, wait a minute, bending down on my knees and all of this back-breaking work, let's make it a bit easier. Why not? You can water it quite easily. You could have a water system over the top there. Even if you had to pump it by hand, you could have a little hose going across with little bits of holes in the hose, and you just steer it, pump, fill it up there, steer it, pump it, acts like rain. Couldn't that be good? You can do the mime again, hands up the glass. Oh, can you? Can you do the mime, hands up the glass? Yes, of course I can do. Hang on, the microphone's in the way. There we go. Look, this is called the wall, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. Look, the wall. Bit of silence. As you notice, you even get the silent. Sorry. You even get the silent. You can do the pulling of the rope. That's the more realistic pulling of the rope. We had to do the at mime school. I went to mime school. We had to do the sort of more the whole thing, the flow. Forget how to do it now. It's you can't let go at any point. I just did. I realised. Sorry, hang on. Anyway, enough of that. My world has gone mad. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Andrew Norris moment. Today, Andrew Norris does something interesting, as ever. Actually, I have watched it through and I can't remember what the hell he does now. But it's great. It's what we've been waiting for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Move my microphone back so I can actually see what I'm operating here. And now, over to Croatia and find out what Andrew Norris is up to. Andrew, take it away. He's not doing any mime, by the way. He's not doing any mime. That I can assure you.
Hello, Vobesters. This is day 3 of my allowed 10 days in the village. Done a lot of work, a lot of grass cutting already. Got the vegetable garden prepared. Weeded the raspberries. and the asparagus. But I'm just wandering around looking at all the wonderful wildflowers that there are available to see. Here are some examples. Here we have oxeye daisy with crosswort and buttercups. This blue flower is bugle. Then we have meadow clary. Here is spurge. Here we have a cluster of speedwell. And above these are wild strawberries. And down here is a kind of vetch. Don't know which type of vetch, but you can tell from these little tendrils. And these are wild geraniums. And here we have a wonderful cluster of purple gromwell. Along the path here, a large cluster of kidney vetch. This plant is called Star of Bethlehem. I love the way these flowers all grow in their own little cluster. And from a human point of view, they look as if they're all growing in harmony. But there's probably a tremendous battle going on amongst them, claiming the resources, protecting their corner of the field. I'm just walking towards the river, where this morning I found a three-toothed orchid. It's the first one I've seen this year, so it's worth recording. Here we have spring pea, and here is the only example of toothwort. It comes up every year, and this is the only place it grows. Here we have an early purple orchid, and just here is a three-toothed orchid. And a little bit further up here, if I can find it again, is another orchid, a white heliborina. Here we go. Hasn't yet come out properly yet, but there it is. And these are harebells. So this is just a selection of the flowers that are available to see in the village of Bukovlia on the 3rd of May 2020.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I forgot. Yes, it was about the lovely spring flowers. I rushed into next door to get my book by W.H. Hudson called I can't read it from here now. Is it what Nature in the Downland? Nature in Downland. It's all about the West Sussex or the Sussex South Downs, and he has harebells in there, and he talks about a whole load of different wonderful things, oxeye daisies and various things. So lovely to see all that collection that you've got all around you, and so interesting that you know all of the names, which is great, which is what I'm trying to learn. I was the burgloss, or whatever it's called. Is that Viper's burgloss? Because I know that when Julia and I did a little wildflowers on the beach, we saw Viper's burgloss. I am letting the wildflowers flower in my garden. Weeds, as he also adds, is Turbo Stream. Lovely video. Kevin's Ramble says, lovely flowers and really nice video. Thanks for sharing with us. Yeah, lovely to see all of that over there in Croatia. We've been to Croatia and we've been to Spain in today's show, which has been rather tremendous, I think. So there we are. Josephine says, I love the mime so much. Thanks very much. Julia says, I love the mime dog. Shush. Keep down. Get off my leg. For goodness sake. Stop it. Sorry. Every now and again, if you mention the mime dog, will you pack it in? What about the mime hair, though? The mime hair. I think Ed Loud's borrowing mime hair. Mime hair? Mime hair! That doesn't sound quite right, doesn't it? Yes, mime hair. Makes a whole new meaning to the thing. Linda, I'm losing my voice. Can you hear it? It's going. Just a moment. I need to gargle. You see, that's the reason I went into mime, because I was losing my voice. Linda Kane says, thanks, Andrew. That was lovely. Oxeye daisies are my favourite when they're growing with May blossom and cow parsley. Yeah, very nice. A bit of cow parsley Always good. And what else have we got there? Croatia, lovely part of the world. Dubrovnik is a must-seen place, says Rob Hunt. Andrew Murphy says, I have found a video of Richard doing some stand-up comedy on YouTube. Oh yes, doing my mime with the old mime pole. I think I do a bit with the mime pole, if I remember rightly, and how you can adjust it into all sorts of things. Anyway, yeah, that was what was his name? I did a show where I was warming up the audience, doing my mime routine for. He's big on Radio 4, Milton Jones. Milton Jones. I was a warm-up man for Milton Jones. He was a very odd bloke. Didn't really say anything to anybody. I tried to have a conversation with him, but he wasn't really interested. But hey ho, you know how the great live their lives. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Simon for the call. That was absolutely fascinating and interesting to hear all about the Spanish Inquisition and how you can get beaten up and all of that. Do join me again tomorrow. I have a video for you which will explain what I'm going to be doing for the next few weeks on the Board Explorer as a sort of temporary stopgap. But we will carry on. And those of you who are interested in my reading of H.V. Morton's I Saw Two Englands, we've got through most of chapter 1, but not quite all of it. It's still going on. This will be the third instalment tomorrow at 4 o'clock British summer time. I'll be reading that. I've moved the time zone to allow me a little bit more time on my production in the daytime. So that'll be good. I've got to go to the post office and post something to Croatia, hopefully tomorrow or the next day, as well as a letter to America to return a little cutout character for a young lady called Audrey. But that's all top secret. You don't need to know anything about it, so I haven't told you, all right? So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. It's been lovely to have your company yet again as we get through this weird and wonderful, wacky time that we're living through. 2020, who would have believed it, eh? There you go. You wait till we get to 3030. What will they dream up for that year? Who knows? Who cares? We won't be here. Thank goodness. Take care, one and all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. So I wonder if I could get away with doing a Spanish gun. How would a Spanish gun work out in mime? And how would you fire it? What would it fire? Bullseyes? Oh, I don't know. I have to think a bit more.